Speaking about being upfront and staying on top of things and the shining light on the appearance of impropriety, let's talk about 11X, the startup backed by Andreessen Horowitz. TechCrunch put out a story about this. Some of the notes included that the company had customers sign 1-year contracts with a 3-month break, and that it may have been misreporting revenue after customers had broken. Essentially, they turned their annual contracts into trials. An employee said that they were kind of massaging the numbers. They may have left some logos on their site too long after they weren't really customers. The company has pushed back, Jason, but I want to start with that and get your feedback.
Okay. So it's all alleged, right?
Yes. And the platform is denying the TechCrunch report. That's important to point out. Yeah.
Okay. So they had customers sign a 1-year contract with a 3-month breakup clause. This turned the annual contracts into effectively trials. This is not in and of itself anything problematic. When I do 1-year contracts with people, I'll have a 90-day out. I'll sign a 3-year contract with somebody with a 90-day out, a 30-day out. What it means is I just have to give you notice so we can offboard, and then that company doesn't have, if they had dedicated some resources to it, let's say, an account manager or, a contractor to work on your thing, you just have 90 days to let that person go and to inform them, hey, we're going to just offboard you, whatever. So that in of itself, not a problem. But when you start using the logos of customers and you start using weird terms, contracted ARR, CAR, this is a very abused number. I have been getting, and I have had situations, I'm going to make an amalgamation, where founders told me they had this amount of revenue. And what they meant is the contracted revenue. And then the contracted revenue didn't match the money coming into the bank account. When you're dealing with any type of investor who is, let's call it smart, thoughtful, any of these words you'd like to use, Alex, any smart investor is going to say, what was 2024 revenue? What is 2025 projected revenue? Give me a chart of monthly revenue. I have had people then give me a chart of contracted revenue. And I said, no. Who's your accounting firm? I want the actual accrual-based accounting where you take your 12-month contract. Let's say they paid it in advance. They gave you $100,000 in advance. It's $10,000 a month. They gave them a discount of $28,000. I want to see that $100,000 divided into 12, and I want to see it, put into each month that the service was delivered. And we know that it could get canceled. So if you have churn, which people do, typically 5, 10, 15% churn a year. Some people have negative churn, which because people are adding to their existing contracts. So you have the same number of contracts on, but you go from 10 people to 50 people in your Slack account, so you're paying 5 times as much. So 10% of people, leave the product, but then 50% of the people, 10x their usage of it. You get all this, math and fun with numbers. Just fun with numbers is a very dangerous game, because if you're selling shares of a company and you confuse the person buying the shares, then you will get a knock on the door. Hello, SEC here. We would like to talk to you about a special term called securities fraud.
That's it. You never want to hear those words, by the way.
You hear that?
Those are not good words.
Is that not coming up on the microphone?
Oh, it absolutely is.
We can hear the SEC.
Hello? Lon? Alex? Is the SEC here? It's a scary moment. I remember opening the door and somebody...
Oh, really? You've had the SEC knock on your door for securities fraud?
I've been served.
Wow.
Sir, you've been served. Boom. And I look at this piece of paper, got the SEC logo on it when I pull it out of the bag.
That's no good.
Whoa. I want to have like...
Yeah, exactly. Just sit down, breathe.
You have to go in your box of documents stacked in the powder room and start going through them.
No, this isn't Mar-a-Lago.
What is this? What is this? Turns out I had somebody on the pod. They were telling me, we had invested in the company, they were telling me what incredible prospects they had. They didn't have their accounting dialed in perfectly. They ran out of money. It was during a down market. No white knights come to the rescue. The SEC had somebody tip them off that not only the company claimed to be profitable or break even, but then they are out of business because they couldn't make payroll. And then they submitted, Jason's an investor. The person was on the podcast 30 days before this whole thing blew up.
Oh, wow.
And they said the following things. So the SEC says, we would like every correspondence. We would like this, I got to hire, I kid you not, an $1,800 an hour attorney. It's the most I've ever paid. You start getting into this level. So now
$30 a minute?
That's wild. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of when I've lost.
They come into the office, set a briefcase down, take a sip of water. You're already out. Like, yeah, you're out $5,000 just from that.
I bought this guy a tomahawk steak every 10 seconds.
That's insanity.
I was eating Wagyu for a year. Anyway, happy to pay it. Shout out to Beep.
Better than prison.
They're like, you have no exposure. Don't worry about it. Then I get the $30,000 bill for my no exposure. I paid that. I buy a Prius to my attorney's son or daughter or their housekeeper. Got a Prius on JCal.
Yeah.
Happy to pay it.
So happy. I'm not grimacing at all here. I'm not in pain. No.
And I'm like, okay, well, did they clear me? They're like, oh, no, they don't do that. What happens next? They don't tell you. They leave you on the hook indefinitely. There could be another knock. Hey, remember we talked to you 10 years ago about the startup? Turns out, we pinched this person. We would like to talk to you again. That's the problem, I think, with how the SEC is run, respectfully, is that they have so much power